Welcome back, everyone. Golly, this campground is so busy. I hope you can hear me over all the leaf blowers and the lawnmowers. The leaves have really started to come down now. Just a reminder that I'm on my way home. Since it is so loud out here today, I want to take you inside and show you what I've been doing with my seed saving and collecting of seeds. Come along with me. Okay, I want to invite you to my preservation table. This is where I'm collecting all of the books and things that I need to get me started into my dehydration, uses for herbs, all of that kind of stuff. And so I kind of keep it all over here together. The first thing I want to tell you about is these boxes, these flats like this. These are the best thing I have found for drying out my seeds, if I have a lot of them, and some herbs too. Some of the herbs that are just too tender, I don't want to put them into my dehydrator, so I dehydrate them in these boxes. And in fact, I collected up seeds from the pumpkin harvest last weekend. Every weekend this month, I carve pumpkins with the kids over at the craft room. And as you can imagine, there are a lot of seeds left over. So I take the seeds and collect them up. Sometimes the kids want to use them or take them home with them so they can roast them themselves, and that's fine. But when they don't, I don't want them to put them in the trash can and then put them in the dumpster, especially now since we know that from last spring there was a seed shortage. And besides that, I have discovered several things that you can use pumpkin seeds before, and I'll be talking about that later on. I used a pair of rubber gloves, and I didn't wash any of those seeds because I wanted to save them to actually plant some next year and share with other people, because there were a lot of them. As you can see, this whole bag is full of just last week's seeds. I expect to have more and more kids as we get closer to Halloween on the weekends. And I will be getting as many as that every single week, if not more. They're drying up perfectly. So if the kids didn't want to take their seeds home with them, I had them put them in this pan. I just went and got this pan at the Dollar Tree for $1, and I put on some rubber gloves. And I did not wash the seeds that the kids took out of their pumpkins last weekend, because I want to save them for planting. And I've been told that they need that coating left on them. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. If anybody knows, leave it down in the comments so that I will know whether I can wash them or not. But really, it was pretty simple. I mean, for planting, you don't want to probably wash them. So it was still pretty simple to separate the seeds. Most of the big chunks and all of that I put to the side. But then I put all these seeds in this pan. I put on a pair of rubber gloves and just squished them out of the fibrous part of the pumpkin. And they cleaned up really well. As you can see, they're pretty clean. Now they're sticky because it's moist out here today, and it's kind of got me worried. You can feel on the bottom of the sack there is some moisture. Of course, these seeds are going to have moisture in them, and that's why I just want to make sure I keep coming in, turning them over, just mixing them up a little bit. And hopefully that's going to work. Now, I've never saved pumpkin seeds before. I really actually have never done any true seed saving in my life, and I'm just now learning, and I'm hoping that you guys learn along with me. Anyway, we'll see how that comes out, and I may do a test run here sometime after we return to the homestead, just to see if I can get one of those to sprout, and then I'll know I was successful. But from now on, for the rest of the seeds that the kids don't want, I'm going to collect up, and I will be washing those seeds, because I have learned that you can actually grind them up, and they're really good for your dog. They're good for you. You can use them for flour, or you can spread them in like your animal feed, and it's good, they say, for parasites. But I know that there's got to be a lot of vitamins packed into those seeds, and maybe I can make a bread out of them, because I did get one of the hand crank flour grinders here just recently. I've never used one, haven't used it yet. That's going to happen after I return to the homestead. But for now, I'm just going to collect up these seeds and just keep an eye on them, make sure that they're drying out like they should be, and we'll see where we go. Subscribe to my channel and ring the little bell. You'll get a notification every time I upload a video, and then you will know what happens with these seeds. Okay, now moving on. As you can see, I've picked off my purple green beans, and I've just been drying them in this. I don't know if that's the proper way to do that. I won't know until I plant one and I see if it sprouts. But I've just been letting them finish dry out because I have been taking down the camper garden and trying to get the containers back to the homestead, because it's less than a month now, guys. It's less than a month. I think we're leaving the first week of November. I think by then we will be home. Cross your fingers. Hopefully nothing happens between now and then. You guys know that I have been drying my herbs out in these paper sacks. This is basil that I harvested. And I just wanted to show you what it looks like. Let me see if you can see that. What it looks like when it's in the... There's the sirens again. Ugh, I'm not going to miss that. But I already have used my brake bleeder sealer with this gadget on top. And I have a video showing how I did that, how I do this. But this is the brake bleeder. Go check in on my YouTube channel and see if you can find that video. I did a video especially on that. So that those are sealed up. They'll last a lot longer. They'll stay fresher longer. Whenever these get dried, I still have a little bit of space in my jar, and I can just push them down in there and seal it back up again, and those will stay for a long, long time like that. Remember when I got the big haul of herbs up at the restaurant surplus store? This is the parsley, and I opened it up. I actually opened it up to use a little the other day, and that freshness just blew up in my face. So I have parsley, and then I remember I dried up the oregano. I have oregano in there, and I'm sealing it with my brake bleeder. I'm slowly collecting up thyme, and I actually sealed that, even though, I don't know if you can see, there's just a little bit of thyme in there. Thyme is a small plant and a small leaf, and so there's not a whole lot to it once you get it dried up. And I have tons of it out there still, and I am drying some right now. Just to keep the plant alive and growing good, I take a little at a time. When I see that it's going to freeze, I may go ahead and cut all of that off, or I may run it home and get it indoors. I haven't decided for sure which way I'm going to go, or which way I'm going to be able to go with that. But anyway, as I dry it, I put it in the jar, and then I use my brake bleeder. Again, I use my brake bleeder to suck all the air out of it to keep it fresh. I've showed you my broccoli before, but I'll show you again. I dehydrated broccoli. And I have several jars of that I've already taken home and put in storage there at the farmhouse. Here's my carrots. Remember the haul I got on that big bag of carrots? Well, this is actually 2 of those that fit in this jar. And I'm almost finished with a second jar. So I keep going up there and I buy those carrots. I should have enough carrots to supply us for stew at least for maybe 2 years in these jars. Breadcrumbs is another thing that I've started sealing up like that. And you will notice that there is a paper towel in there on the very top there. That is so that the breadcrumbs, because when you get into the finer things like flour and breadcrumbs, and you start trying to seal this up, those crumbs will actually get up there and prevent you from being able to seal. And also too, I have heard from other people that the cylinder inside your brake bleeder will actually fill up with residue. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know how. It's a mystery to me how this thing even works. I still can't figure it out. But it works for me for what I need it to. I know enough about it for it to work. So on Labor Day weekend, my granddaughter and my daughter came up from Florida, and I had bought a box of cereal, Fruity Pebbles, just to have on hand for her, which she never even ate one single bowl of. So I said, well, let's just go ahead and put that in a jar and seal it up. I have a feeling that the next time I see my granddaughter, she will still have Fruity Pebbles. Okay, so I want to talk about my spinach. And you can see my spinach is one of those things that I had to put a paper towel in because I made it into almost a powder. Not quite, it's still flaky. But imagine my surprise whenever I was outside. It was my day it was activity day and I had to work. And my husband hollered out, "Hey, what did you do with that dried spinach?" I was like, "Oh my goodness." He literally loves to put the dried spinach in his scrambled eggs. So this is a proven dried vegetable that we're going to be able to use. And whenever we get home, I plan on experimenting and seeing what else besides just our eggs we can use this on. It really does give a good flavor. I don't know if you guys seen my video where I cooked the sweet potato leaves. Those things are delicious. I mean, delicious. It will become something that we eat after we return to the homestead. And this is something that I could do with those too. I can dehydrate them, dry them up. Sweet potatoes and sweet potato leaves, I am being told, are very, very nutritious. They're one of the superfoods. That's what Stacy calls them over at Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. If you guys have not been to that channel, you should go over there because that's where I'm getting a lot of my information. Heidi at Rain Country, Deep South Homestead, they are just powerhouses in information, inspiring me to have courage to go full throttle into this self-reliance. I want to show you how pretty these are bell peppers that I saved, and I have everything's labeled, and here you'll see it says store on it. This is how I'm separating, knowing which bell peppers I bought from the restaurant surplus store and which bell peppers I've put up from my garden that I've actually grown. I did do one ferment, and that was with my purple green beans and my purple bell peppers, and it actually, I think it would have turned out, it turned out right, it turned out good, but I think it would have tasted better had I not used so much garlic. Well, okay, let me tell you about garlic. Garlic is very strong, and of course you guys probably already know that, but when you ferment it, it really becomes strong. So where I am a garlic freak. Garlic goes in everything that we eat around here. I mean, I eat garlic with my garlic, and I just think that I put too much garlic in that ferment. So I'm going to try another one later on down the road with a little bit less garlic. And there's a whole bunch of other ideas that the homesteaders have given me for foods to ferment. I think my next one that I really want to get into is the fermented carrots, and they say the kids really like them, so I'm gonna try and do that. Of course, y'all know that my orzo. Now I'm using this orzo pretty often, and you can see it's going down pretty quickly. So I'm not really sealing it back up after each use because I'm just using it that quickly. I have bags and bags of this that I bought at the surplus grocery store, 50 cents a bag, and I've got some in the freezer because I didn't know about the brake bleeder method when I took them home, but I also have some in jars like this that I've since put in the jars, and I'm going to take them back home, and they're sealed up too, just to keep the pasta longer. So I want to show you something that I dehydrated that is really new. I mean, it's new to me. They were talking about dehydrating zucchini because I'm always looking for ways that I can preserve food that we can actually use besides my freezer. It's going to be deer season, right into deer season whenever we get back to the homestead, and I'm going to need room for deer, at least one deer, in that freezer to get us through the winter. We'll have plenty of meat for the winter, not to mention all the meat that I've bought and stocked up on. Today they have the T-bone steaks at Save-A-Lot up here. They run a sale for their people there in St. Clair, and they're $3.99 a pound, but the sale is only for a certain amount of time. So I'm lucky that I'm not having to work today so that I can go up there and grab some more of those T-bones. I mean, T-bone steaks for $3.99, you just can't pass it up. So when they've been having those sales, I've been buying up. They usually limit you on these sales. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So I've been buying what I could and putting in the freezer and then transferring them down to the homestead and getting them in there. Back to the, this is the frustration, guys. I can't stay on topic. One day I will learn to stay on topic, and editing will be so much easier, and it'll be so much easier on you guys to try to keep up with me. Let's get back to the zucchinis. I had never tried zucchini before, and it is delicious. I plan on finding somebody who has locally grown zucchini that they're trying desperately to get rid of because they had too much. And this is how I'm going to preserve my zucchini, besides just a little bit for my freezer to go like in my zucchini bread, or to put in a stew or a soup if we need extra vitamins or something because we're short on something else. So I am definitely, and you can put these in the stew too, but I'm telling you right now that just to dehydrate them like this and eat them as a snack is delicious. And I plan on trying to maybe mix in some seasonings when and sprinkle them on there as I'm dehydrating them, or maybe before. I'm just going to work on that project, and I'll let you guys know whenever I figure a good recipe for a snack zucchini, dried zucchini. A few days ago, me and Diane, who takes care of the plants here at Pin Oak Creek Park, she does all of our greenery and everything, come by and said, "Hey Dee, these echinaceas are turning black, do you want some?" And so we went and harvested echinacea seeds. This was the result. A whole bag full of these echinacea seeds. And I'm hoping that they're viable. I'm hoping that I left them on the flowers long enough. And I will be experimenting with them this winter to see if any of them are viable. Even if they're not, they're going to make a cute little craft project, which was a suggestion from someone on my Homestead guideline. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I've been allowing things like my radish seeds, my dill seeds, all of that out there in the camper garden to just go ahead and dry on out. And with the radishes, I was able to dry them out mostly completely while they were still on the plant. Some of them were still a little damp when I brought them in, and I just put them in the cardboard box and left them out and let them sit there and dry up some. This is how I have decided to keep my seed. This made it easy for me through the process because I could just slip my little string off and add more seed as I come across them. This is my dill that I actually grew. Plenty of seed in there to get me started at the homestead. I collected jack-o'-lantern seeds. And this is different than the pumpkin seeds. There is a plant called a jack-o'-lantern plant, and it grows this beautiful orange bulb on the end of it. And I was able to grab that. I wish I'd have taken a picture so I could show you. And hopefully those seeds in there will be viable, and I'll be able to get them started. And next year you'll be able to see what I'm talking about with the jack-o'-lantern. And I'm always making sure to label whether it was my seed or something that I bought at the store. So I made the sage butternut squash soup, and I have a video of that. Go look at that delicious soup. But I made that, and I saved the seeds out of that butternut, and I dehydrated them. I dried them out in a box just like this, because when it comes to seeds, I really don't think I want to put them in the dehydrator. One, they're small, and I'm afraid they'll fall down, even though I have made the cloth rings that Heidi makes, which are great for my dehydrator. I still think the heat is going to be too intense and may sterilize my seeds before I ever get them dried. So I'm mostly air drying, naturally air drying the seeds like you would. These are some flowers that I pulled seeds off of that were just pretty flowers. I think they're phlox. I don't know. Next year if I can get them growing, you guys can help me to decide for sure if they're phlox. This is off of actual hibiscus plants. This is the seed. Now I have heard that you can start the hibiscus just from the stem, kind of like I'm planning on doing my elderberries, but these had seeds on them, and I wanted to see if I could actually start them from seeds, so I grabbed them. Anything I can find, guys, that has seeds, I'm grabbing seeds. I'm hoarding seeds. So my daughter is making soap, and they're wonderful soaps. I've actually got some sitting out here to cure. Here's this one. This is, I think she told me it was a oatmeal, coffee oatmeal. It smells so good. Anyway, and she's got lavender charcoal soap, which is my very favorite. It just smells so good. It smells so good. I think she puts tea tree oil and lavender in it. They're great. It's a great soap, and I love using it. But she is wanting some lemons, dried lemons, so I went ahead and dehydrated her out some dried lemon, and I'm going to send that to her so that she can, they smell good, so that she can use them in her soap. I'll be sending them soon, Emmy. Hang in there. Now, I have some loofah gourds that I have brought up here to the craft room that I had actually grown when we lived at the house in town. I was very successful on growing the loofahs. And so I took the seeds out of the gourds before I let the kids have them for their craft project. And you would be surprised. I had a grown man say, "What is that?" I said, "It's a loofah sponge." And he's like, "A loofah sponge? I thought that grew in the ocean." So it's really cool. The loofahs do grow on a vine, and they're fantastic plants to watch grow. Okay, this video feels like it's getting really long. I probably didn't cover everything because I got sidetracked, but I'll catch up to you guys the next time. Until then, love and peace to everyone.